Hello everyone, my name is Hannah. Today's video is entitled Affording Graduate School, and it is brought to you by the Financial Wellness Department. So the timeline for it. So my first tip is to start planning early, fill out your FAFSA form, review your aid offer, get your aid, and then graduate and start repaying. So in terms of starting early, I recommend that you plan how to pay for college before you actually go to college, or before university really, when you're looking at graduate school. So that means you should start thinking about that right now, as we are all in college and this is the perfect time. So that should mean that you should ask your parents, figure out if you were paying for graduate school, and you can figure that out with the help of the Knowlton Center, as well as the help of the Financial Wellness Office. They'll help you figure out different financial aid packages and offers, and different grants, like federal grants, as well as nonprofit grants and scholarships that you can apply to that are associated with your university or associated with your state or federal level grants. Something to also consider is prepaid tuition and different education saving plans. Earlier I mentioned the FAFSA form. So before each year of college, you're supposed to apply for the federal grant work study and loans with the free application for federal student aid form, which is what FAFSA stands for. Your college will use FAFSA to determine your federal aid eligibility. And then once you submit that, you'll get the report that'll detail like how much aid they're giving you and how much you need to cover. Federal work studies for graduate students to work part-time, and it allows for students to earn money and help pay education expenses. So for the work study program, it's administered by your institution. So just check with your school's financial aid office to find out if your school participates and has a federal work study program, as well as like what you'd qualify for. So once you finally have submitted your FAFSA and have applied and done all of that, you will get your offer. And so you need to spend a decent amount of time reviewing your offer and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. One thing that's pretty cool is that if you've been accepted to multiple institutions, you can compare packages, and if you like one institution over another, you could also kind of negotiate by sharing how much another institution gave, if they gave more, and the one that you like the most or that you'd rather go to may be willing to change their offer just based off of what you're saying. But at the end of the day, you should definitely accept the school that you think will prepare you the most, and will also the school that you can afford and that's best for you and your family in terms of not only knowledge but also tuition. So after that, you will get your aid, and depending on the scholarship or grant or program that you are part of, you just have to make sure that that you just do well. A lot of different scholarships and programs have a minimum GPA, so as long as you're above that, you will continue to receive aid. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind when you are applying. So now I'd like to talk about the different kinds of federal student loans that are available. So they are direct unsubsidized loans, and they are eligible to undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. But eligibility is not based on financial need, so that's something to keep in mind. There's also something called Direct Plus loans, and they are made to graduate or professional students and parents of dependent undergraduate students, and they help pay for education expenses not covered by financial aid. Eligibility is not based on financial need, but a credit check is required. You will have to provide that. Borrowers will also have an adverse credit history, and must meet additional requirements to qualify. A third option are direct consolidation loans, and they allow you to combine all of your eligible federal student loans into a single loan with a single loan servicer. So you're just servicer, so you're just consolidating really. And if you are a graduate or professional student, something to keep in mind is that you can borrow up to $20,500 US each year in direct unsubsidized loans. Direct Plus loans can also be used for the remainder of your college cost as determined by your school, and they're not covered by other financial aid. So I think I've mentioned a lot about loans. You're probably wondering, why should I take out loans? Why would I do that? So So why should I take out federal loans? Federal student loans offer many benefits compared to other options that people often consider when looking to pay for graduate school. So the interest rate on federal student loans is fixed and is usually lower than that on private loans and much lower than that of a credit card. So that's something that's pretty cool. You don't need a credit check or co-signer to get most federal student loans. So that's great. So you can do that independently and just be autonomous, and there's no one who might also like get hurt if something goes awry. You don't have to begin repaying your federal student loans until after you leave college or drop below half-time, which I think is a very important detail. So just to repeat that, you don't have to start repaying them until after you graduate, which is a beautiful thing. Take those loans and then work on repaying them after you graduate. And I think that's one of the major benefits of federal student loans. Additionally, if you work in certain jobs, you may be eligible to have a portion of your federal student loans forgiven if you meet certain conditions. So that's something to look more into. If your chosen field has a lot of jobs, that would probably fall into that category. That's something to kind of think about and maybe strategize how you can possibly, you may be eligible for that in the future. Now we're going to talk a bit more about the repayment options and what is that like. Once you graduate, you do have to start working to repay your student loans. The good news is that federal student loan borrowers have a 6-month grace period before you begin making payments. So you can use those 6 months to basically get organized, create a game plan, apply to different jobs that will help you pay that off. So all of the above, really. And the good thing is that if you sadly do start to fall behind in making your payments, you can contact your loan servicer to discuss repayment options. But before you contact your loan servicer, what you should really do is consider using a loan simulator. Look at which plans you may be eligible for and see estimates for how much you would pay monthly and overall. The loans that qualify for the monthly payment plan are all plus loans, all consolidation loans, direct or FFEL, subsidized and unsubsidized federal Stafford loans, direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans. I also would like to highlight the fact that we go to Denison, which is a great university, and we have so many on-campus resources like the Knowlton Center, the Financial Wellness Office, where people are willing to help you map out your future and map out your financial future as well, just to help guide you. And so definitely don't be afraid to utilize both of these resources and all the other things that you are able to use while you're here, and use even after you graduate for a short amount of time. Another thing I think I would like to emphasize is that when you're going throughout this process, it can be very time-consuming and laborious, and also a very emotional process, but just keep in mind that the end goal should be to minimize debt, because you want to be financially free in order to make choices for the rest of your life. And just do your research and don't be afraid to use what's on campus. So thank you all so much for joining me for today's video. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye.